Each Odyssey of the Mind team is expected to prepare and bring 4 types of forms to tournaments. These forms are handed to the staging judge before the team presents its long-term problem solution. This program shows teams how to prepare their tournament paperwork correctly. 2 forms, the style form and the problem-specific required list, give the judges a heads up of what to watch for during your skit. The other 2 forms give teams the opportunity to confirm that they have complied with the spirit of the Odyssey of the Mind. The outside assistance form reports any ideas, props, or costumes that were not entirely created by the 7 team members. The materials cost form gives teams a place to prove that they have not exceeded the maximum value for the problem stated in the problem description. This program only covers guidelines on completing the forms that you need to bring to the tournament. It does not go into detail about selecting style elements, determining the value of the materials in your solution, or what constitutes outside assistance. Every team should be familiar with the official program guide because it includes important information about those topics and many others. If you have not seen the program guide for this year, ask your coach for it. As with all other aspects of your team's solution, the required forms must be completed by team members, not the coach. The official program guide makes one concession for Division I teams. Coaches of lower elementary grade level teams may write on the form, but the team members must dictate exactly what is to be written. In our region, teams are asked to bring 4 copies of the style form and the required element list, so each style and long-term judge can read it before you present your solution and can refer to it while scoring. You only need to bring 1 copy of the other forms to the tournament. Let's look at these forms one at a time, starting with the required list form. This form varies by the problem. Its purpose is to help direct the judge's attention to the appropriate parts of your skit that fulfill the problem requirements. Not every problem includes a required list, but if one is required, it will usually be described as the last item in Part B, Limitations. Remember, the judges will only be seeing your skit one time, and there are no replays. The team required components list and the style form give the team a chance to point out aspects of the solution that they want the judges to be sure to see. Unlike the other forms you need to submit, there is no requirement that you use an official form for your team list. If you want, you can create your own list by typing the information, as long as all of the items listed in the long-term problem are addressed and clearly identifiable. But if you do prefer using an actual form, you can find one in the members area of the Odyssey of the Mind website. Be sure to have your membership number handy because you'll need it to log in. The advantage of using this form is that it will be formatted to make the information easy for the judges to review quickly. The style form is also important for helping the judges. When you present your long-term skit at the regional tournament, there will be 3 or more judges looking specifically for the 5 parts of your solution listed on this form. The style portion of your long-term performance is worth 50 of the possible 250 points. Basically, the style component of your solution is an opportunity for your team to go above and beyond the required elements of the long-term solution. Team members have an opportunity, through style, to let their own personalities and talents shine. You may put as many additional elements in your solution as you want, but you must choose 4 of those elements that contribute to your team's overall style. 2 style elements must be of certain types, such as creativity of a particular aspect of your solution. 2 of them are entirely of your own choosing. In addition, you'll be asked to describe how those 4 elements contribute to your team's overall style. The style form serves as a worksheet for the style judges during your performance. The style form is available in both PDF and Word format for teams that want to type their forms. The most important thing about filling out the style form is telling the judges exactly what to consider. Suppose you want to use one of your songs as a style element. Are you most proud of your team member's voice? About the creativity or humor in the lyrics? Then tell the judges. Otherwise, each judge will consider whatever aspect of your song he or she wants, and it may not be what you had in mind. Let's look at another example. If the required element is costume worn by a team member, you need to tell the judges exactly which costume to judge and what it is about that costume that contributes to your team's overall style. Pat's costume is usually not sufficient because the judges don't know who Pat is. The judges need you to say the cat costume if there's only one cat, the costume of the scientist with the blue wig if there's more than one scientist, or, in this case, the dress made from recycled CDs. One thing to take into consideration when selecting your style elements is that the same element cannot be scored both for long-term scoring and for your style score. For example, you would not be able to choose the artistic quality of your set or props or the use of color, but you could choose the engineering used to change the backdrop, or the use of recycled materials, or the use of traditional music from the location that your team visited. The space at the bottom of the form is where the team tells the judges how the 4 specific style elements combine to enhance their overall solution. For your overall style effect, try to think of a theme or a single adjective to describe it, such as funny or futuristic or musical. This make-believe team chose the use of plays on words as its overall theme. When it is completed, the spaces on your style form should correspond to the categories in the problem. Coaches, remember that the team needs to do this themselves. If you see an overlap, you can encourage them to look again, but it would be outside assistance to hint too broadly. Finally, be sure to fill out the top of the form. The only tricky part here is that if your school has more than one team solving the same problem, you need to include Team A or Team B as part of your team membership number. The other 2 forms give teams the chance to show their integrity by confirming that they have not exceeded the value limit for the problem or received help putting together their solution. Of the 2 forms, the materials cost form is more complicated to complete. Each long-term problem includes a dollar amount that is the maximum value of the team's solution. The dollar amount helps to make sure that teams are being judged on their creativity, not on expensive props and costumes. Exceeding the dollar amount may result in a penalty of up to 100 points of the final normalized score. This form is intended to reflect the cost any other team would incur to recreate this solution, so it must include all materials used and a typical cost to obtain them. List only the materials the team used in the solution that actually appears on stage. So the team does not need to list materials used during the trial and error period of creating the solution. Costumes that didn't work, props that were redesigned, balsa wood for structures that you destroyed before the tournament. You don't need to include the cost of equipment that the team bought in order to make the solution, such as paintbrushes, saw blades, or sandpaper. And you don't need to include unused portions of purchases. For example, if you bought a pint of paint but only used half of it in the final solution and the other half on parts that you threw away, you only need to count half of the purchase price on your materials cost form. Virtually everything else that ends up in the skit, even materials obtained for free or at a very low cost, must have some cost listed on the form. For example, it wouldn't be fair for a team to consider items they pick up from a construction zone or from the curb when a neighbor is moving or remodeling to be garbage. Because other teams would not be able to obtain these items for free, you need to list them with a nominal price. By this point, you may be asking, so what really is garbage? What can I put on my form with zero value? In general, only cardboard, newspaper, and other items that everyone would consider to be trash can be given a zero value. Teams also need to know how to account for crutches, furniture, computer equipment, and other high-ticket items that they use in their skit. The answer to these questions is look in the program guide. Even if you have looked at the guide, it is well worth your time to look at it again when you're completing your material cost form. Most of your questions about what needs to be listed and how to determine their value will be listed there. If something is not listed, such as if the team uses a compressor in the solution, the program guide instructs teams to use the cost of a one-day rental on the form, even if the item is loaned by one of the families. One technique that may help you fill out your materials cost form is to assign a team member early in the season to keep track of all of the costs and receipts. Then at the end of the season, you just need to figure out which of those items actually made it into your solution. Once you've figured out the items and costs to put on the form, actually filling it out is easy. If you have more than 20 items to list, feel free to make copies and submit more than one page. There doesn't need to be a separate row on your materials cost form for every single item in your solution. You can combine small items and list them on your form as miscellaneous. The outside assistance form gives the team a place to acknowledge any outside assistance they may have received. If you received no outside assistance, enter none in the text space, but don't leave it blank. Each person needs to sign the bottom of the form, him or herself. This is not a place for one person to fill out the form on behalf of the entire team. One detail about filling out this form is easily missed. Sometimes a member of an Odyssey team will drop out midway during the year. If your final solution includes any of his or her ideas or work, he's technically considered to be a part of the team and should be listed on this form. The purpose, of course, is to make sure that no more than 7 people worked on the solution. Teams and coaches are encouraged to bring a few extra outside assistance forms to the tournament. Sometimes, in the excitement of the day, parents accidentally provide outside assistance, such as repairing a costume or prop or helping with hair and makeup. In the spirit of good sportsmanship, these slips should be recorded on an outside assistance form. Some teams might have one last form, a private team clarification. If your team has received a clarification from CCI, be sure to bring a copy of it for the judging team. Without the written clarification, the judges will have no idea that you received permission to include a potentially controversial approach in your solution. A few final tips about paperwork. Always use the forms published for the current year. They get changed, and you want to use the correct ones. Save yourself some stress. Make all of your copies before the day of the tournament, and bring 2 sets of the form, each held by somebody else. That way, if one set is lost, you'll still have a set for the judges. We'll end this lesson by going through some common questions that people have about the paperwork. I'm coaching a young team. Can I help my team fill out the forms? Yes. The coach may help Division I teams complete paperwork by writing information dictated by team members. The coach may not help the team with wording for the style or required list forms, or with deciding or calculating what costs should actually go on the cost form. What help may coaches give their teams regarding paperwork? The program guide says that coaches are responsible for making sure paperwork is done properly. This means they may remind the team to do the paperwork and explain how to fill out the forms, as long as no direct assistance is provided. What clothes need to be listed on the cost form? Any clothing that could be interpreted as part of the solution should be listed. In this picture, notice that the sandals are part of a costume, while the other team members' shoes are not. They could be wearing any shoes without impacting their character's appearance. What about team shirts? Matching shirts are a great way to show team solidarity, but if they're worn in the solution, they still need to be included in the cost form. Can you tell me more about shoes in the materials form? Shoes only need to be listed if they're actually part of a costume. If you've decorated the shoes, or if they pertain to a particular character, they need to be listed. We had some outside assistance, but didn't use that idea in our final solution. Should we list that on the outside assistance form? No, you only need to list outside assistance that's actually in the performance that is presented to the judges on tournament day. If you recognize that you've received outside assistance and redo your solution so it includes only your own ideas and work, you should be proud of yourself. There's no reason to report that to the judging team. The team got some materials at a recycling center and found others in our basement. What costs should we associate with them? Yard sale prices should be assigned even if you got the item for free. What would you pay for a yard of fabric at a yard sale? Probably not more than 50 cents or $1. Likewise with other objects that are experienced. Give a value as if you were to purchase this at a yard sale. But if you buy new material, you must list the full price that you paid. If we continue to the state tournament, can we change our paperwork? Absolutely. Each tournament is a new competition. If you change your solution in any way, you should review your forms to make sure they're still accurate. And even if you don't change anything, you may want to update your paperwork if you think it will help the judges understand your solution better. And finally, put yourself in the judge's shoes. Help them by making the forms clear and easy to read so they can judge your solution fairly. Good luck!